Hi. Oh, God. I haven't done this in forever. My mic's in the wrong spot and everything. Okay, hi. YouTube. Oh my goodness. It's me, Grixischool15. Hi, it's nice to see you. You might remember me from such streams as my own, Grixischool15. You can find me on Twitch. It's very exciting, and I stream a few nights a week. The schedule is on the page, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Today we are here to look forward 2 weeks-ish from now, at least from recording. I don't know. And we're going to look at Strixhaven decks that have been put together by yours truly right here in this very room on this very computer. It's very exciting. So what I have for you here today is count them 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like 5 decks for historic post Strixhaven historic. Warning, contains mythical archive, but I'm sure you had come to expect that. So I have 4 unique control decks, and the 5th deck, while not control, is something I'm very excited about. And it's actually the first Strixhaven deck I put together. More on that later. So we're gonna go through each individual control deck, and I'm going to tell you what's in it, why it's in there, and what the point of the deck is. You'll notice they are all quite similar, just doing things a little bit differently here and there. So without further ado, let's get to it, shall we?
Hey there, it's Grixis, doing all kinds of things. Hey there, it's Grixischool, playing all kinds of games. Pokemon and Magic the Gathering, come on down for all kinds of wild things.
Hi, I'm down here now. Yes, here I am. This is the first Strixhaven deck that I have for you. It is classic, simple blue-black control. It's very exciting stuff. It's blue-black control is very near and dear to my heart. I've been playing it for a very, very long time in different formats here and there. So this is what I have put together. Basically what I did is I took my current blue-black control deck that I'm quite happy with, and I just took out what's kind of and added in what's kind of from Strixhaven. So, you know, it's got removal, it's got discard, it's got draw spells, it's got some counter spells in there. So we can sort of go one by one through the different things, I guess. Bloodchief's Thirst, I think it's a fantastic piece of removal. It's turn 1, hits a small thing. Later in the game, hits a big thing. So it does have that kind of versatility that you want versus these aggro decks and these control decks, depending on what you're against. Now, the common argument here that I have heard and seen and faced is, why not Fatal Push? It's a 1-mana spell, it destroys a small thing up to a big thing. Well, I think that in Historic, triggering Revolt is a little bit trickier. Now, if you look just down below here, you will see Fabled Passage and Field of Ruin, but I'm just not sold on Fatal Push being as good in Historic as it is in other formats. So it's not that I feel Fatal Push is a bad card, I just don't think it fits necessarily in my Historic decks right now, is what I'm gonna say. That's my stance on the matter. So anytime you don't see Fatal Push appear, that is why. Now you know, we don't have to talk about it ever again. Now I am keeping the Eliminates. My initial plan was Eliminate into Doomblade, but I'm actually gonna go with a nice little split here. The Eliminate is fantastic for the control matchup because obviously with what I'm doing, Narset is a bit of a problem. If you have a deck with Brainstorm, Narset is a problem. So we have to keep Eliminate around just for Narset in terms of the control matchup. And then obviously in aggressive matchups, Eliminate's fantastic. Right now that whole Collected Company Angel thing is still quite popular. Any deck with Coco really wants smaller things, and Eliminate hits those smaller things. And while we're talking about hitting smaller things, we'll just skip right now to Ritual of Soot. You know, Ritual of Soot used to be the board wipe, and then they gave us Languish, then they gave us Extinction Event, and then I guess there's an argument for Yahenni's expertise. But, you know, as metas change and shift, you're going to want to rotate through these board wipes depending on what you're looking at. But right now, I personally feel that Ritual of Soot is the best thing that you can be doing with a board wipe. If you disagree with me, let me know. I would love to have that's one of my favorite conversations, is which board wipe is the best board wipe. I love it. Let me know if I'm wrong. I want to hear it. Inquisition of Kozilek is going to hit the small stuff. Now, I was struggling with the 2 and the 3, which is the 2, which is the 3 in terms of Inquisition and Thoughtseize, and I went with more Thoughtseize just for the control matchups. because you're going to want to hit their bigger stuff as well. But those Thought Seizes, they can come right out for other stuff against the aggressive matches, and then you'll still have 2 Inquisitions to sort of hit their smaller creatures. Memory Lapse is just a fantastic counterspell. In some cases, it's Time Walk. That's just what it is in some cases, so that's why we're going to play with that. Since we can't have counterspell. Oy vey. So then we have Blue Sun Zenith. Now this is kind of a flashback to my Blue-Black Prime in Standard. I just saw the card. It was in there. I'm excited about it. I want to play with it. I want to see how it runs. And I'm actually running it in place of Search for Azcanta. If you think that that is wrong, let's fight about it. I'm ready to go because Search for Azcanta is a great mana sink later in the game at 4 mana. I think Blue Sun Zenith is a better mana sink later in the game. And the fact that it shuffles back up, fantastic. The fact that it targets a player, win condition later in the game. It's not a joke. It is not a joke. Narset, obvious reasons. Ritual of Soot, we went over that. Now, I have a big ol' crush on Jace, Unraveler of Secrets. I think it's a fantastically efficient Planeswalker, and I think it is undervalued and underplayed. So if you watch my streams, you will know that I am playing that Jace, and I am doing quite well with it. Thank you very much. Ashiok, just a great Planeswalker all around. One of the main win conditions in terms of, like, you know, when they're locked down under an Ashiok and a Jace, you're doing quite well. And then the lands are pretty straightforward. We do have 4 Fabled Passage this time around because of Brainstorm, which I guess is an argument for trying Fatal Push, but I just don't want to, so we're not gonna. And then our, what's it called? Like techie lands, I guess you could say. We have Field of Ruin, we have a Crawling Barrens, which I could see an argument for 2. You're welcome to try that. If you do, more power to you. I might do it myself. We'll see how I feel. And then we have the castles in the corresponding colors. Sideboard, very straightforward stuff. Grafdigger's Cage. I'm thinking we're gonna see some Bolas' Citadel combo decks, so Grafdigger's Cage. Also Goblins, also Arcanist. It's a very graveyardy meta. Also Collected Company. All around powerful card. Thoughtseize, Aethergust, Negate. These are pretty straightforward. Mystical Disputes. Pretty straightforward stuff. Now, Whirlwind Denial, folks, we are going to be seeing Storm. Storm is coming to Historic. We've got Grape Shot, we've got Tendrils, we have Mind's Desire, and we have that green one that gains life. Whirlwind Denial it's the one of for the Storm decks, you know? Another Ritual of Soot, because you'll notice there's actually 3 in the main. It's a little sketchy, but we're trying it, and then Shadow's Verdict is just an additional board wipe, but it also kind of gets the Jund Sack where you want to get them, you know what I mean? And that's pretty much all the explaining that has to happen for this deck. That is Blue-Black Control. Now, I do want, if you look down here, we do have a wildcard breakdown, but it's not accurate. Aether Hub is taking the actual printed rarity of these cards. Keep in mind, Brainstorm, that is 4 rares. Inquisition of Kozilek, that is 2 rares. Doomblade, that's 2 more rares. Memory Lapse, that's 4 rares. Blue Sun Zenith is a mythic. So all these Mystical Archive cards, wildly upshifted into whole new rarities that just can destroy your wildcard count. I've actually kept that in mind. A lot of these decks are going to have overlapping cards, and that is sort of to make sure that we're using the things that we craft as often and as frequent as possible so that we're not wasting crafts and doing all these bonus crafts. For those of you who don't know, I am free to play. It's brutal. But hey, let's move on. Next. Okay, believe it or not, the next deck is Esper. We're just gonna, basically the logic here was to take the thing we just did and then put white in it and see how it performs with a little bit of white. Actually, it's a lot of white. It's quite a lot of white. So we're gonna have a lot of overlap here. Like I said, Bloodchief's Thirst, Brainstorm, Inquisition of Kozilek, and Thoughtseize. It's the same 2-3 split. We've got Doomblades, Eliminates, Memory Lapse, Blue Sun Zenith again. This time we do play Saw It Coming because there's 1 Doomscar in there, and we want to be able to play Foretell style mind games. So we've got Doomscar and Say It Coming, kind of make them wonder what exactly we're doing with it. Wrath of God, so there's 3 Wraths, 1 Doomscar. We went with the little techie split there. Ashiok, Jace, and this version does have Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, so we've reduced the Ashiok, we've reduced the Jace. fewer copies of those in order to incorporate another Planeswalker, the classic blue-white Teferi monstrosity. And then, of course, is there not? There should be a Crawling Barrens in there somewhere. If there's not, I don't know, cut something and add it. That's, I don't know, you're a smart cookie. If you're here, you know how to make a control deck. So there it is right there. Look at that. Crawling Barrens on top of the Drowned Catacombs. Here we go. I found it. So obviously that exists. Now, sideboard, we actually have Kahira as a companion. If you haven't played Kahira Control, you're missing out a little bit. Kahira is really quite nice. There's no harm in popping that in the sideboard. You do lose a sideboard slot, but you gain a win condition, a blocker, pseudo removal, if you want to look at it that way. Now we have white, which means we have access to some spicy goodies that blue-black by itself doesn't have. So our answer here for Storm is actually Deafening Silence. 1 non-creature spell per turn. It is a uncommon from Throne of Eldraine. It's been around for a while. It's kind of been hiding in the background. I want to bring it to the forefront a little bit here, so we have Deafening Silence in the sideboard as anti-storm tech. I mean, there's already combo decks that exist, right? There's already some Paradox stuff floating around. Not as much since the departure of Uro. Fuck yeah. But they do exist, so it is worth keeping in mind Deafening Silence. We've got some Grafdigger's Cage, Dovin's Veto, obviously Control Mirror, even against combo decks, you could say. Fracture. When this was spoiled, I lost it. What a powerful Magic the Gathering card. Well, I mean, it's certainly not a powerful Pokemon card. But destroying an artifact, enchantment, or planeswalker for 2 mana in black, fantastic. Just a great little card. So that's what that's about. Noxious Grass. This card's really cool because when you're playing against those control decks with the Teferis, you can kill that. When you're playing against the Gruul aggro deck, which is probably just going to be popular forever, let's face it, right? It's Gruul aggro. It's really strong. This thing will remove a threat and gain you a life. And remember, 1 life. You could laugh at it if you'd like, but you only need 1 of them to win, so getting more of them is good. Life points, that is. Rest in peace. Let's just hose the graveyard decks. Get rid of them. I don't want to see them. I don't want to hear them. Kihiro, we went over that. And then Kaya. That is a nice little graveyard hitter. A nice little life gainer. A little piece of removal, too. It's just a nice little planeswalker all around. There was 1 in the main, but it has been removed for other things. So that is Esperino, I have named it. And again, keep in mind that wildcard count at the bottom of the page is not exactly accurate. A lot of those uncommons, a lot of those commons are actually going to be rares. So you have to keep that in mind with the Mystical Archive when you're looking at the decks for them that contain them. That's my... Any recommendations, any suggestions, any things you hardcore disagree with? Again, pop those in the comments. I would love to hear it. Talking about control tech all day long. Yes, please. Let's go. All right, folks, next up. Okay, there were some cards when I saw them. I was like, Jeskai is coming back. We're going to play with it again. We're going to see what we can do because Jeskai is a fantastic little color combination. It's near and dear to my heart. So I thought, you know what? If we're getting Lightning Helix and what's it called? Rip Apart, Prismari Command. Arena was screaming at me, Jeskai, let's go, okay? So again, it's a lot of the same shell. You're seeing this now. We have Brainstorm, we have Memory Lapse, Lightning Helix. Obviously, it's a fantastic piece of removal. For those of you that are unfamiliar with Lightning Helix, 3 damage, gain 3 life. It's a Lightning Bolt and a Healing Salve. Healing stapled together. It's absolutely a fantastic inclusion in anything that has these colors, really. But especially in the control, hit, kill a threat, gain a life. Wow, fantastic. We're off to the races. This deck has Search for Azcanta and Blue Sun Zenith. The other decks, you will notice that I cut Search, add Blue Sun. This one, I'm going a little bit funky with it. I'm doing 1 of each. Fantastic. That's the plan there. That's what we're doing. We're going to see how that works out. It does have the same Wrath of God Doomscar split, 3 and 1. We've got some Saw It Comings to play with the Foretell a little bit. Now this one, because we have red, we've got Chandra's, and it's looking like I have Shark Typhoon in the main and in the side. I don't remember doing that, but if I did it, it must have been for a good enough reason to have done it. Where's her? words or something else? Well, we got Anger of the Gods as a small board wipe. I think I forgot to mention that. But our win conditions here, we've got Chandra, we've got Teferi, we've got Shark Typhoon, and we do have our signature, one of Crawling Barrens. Just a fantastic creature land. Really, really nice. Can pop into all the little lands, all the little control deck slots. Really, I would have preferred to get our original creature lands back. I wanted those Celestial Colonnade, Creeping Tar Pit. I wanted all of that, but I'll take Crawling Barrens. It's fine. It's fine. There's nothing, you know, we've got Deafening Silence again. I explained that. This time we are going to be playing with Authority of the Consoles, a nice little hold the creature back situation. But it's worth noting that all of these sideboards that I'm presenting, like if you like one thing from the other sideboard better than something from this sideboard, switch it, make the change, do it, do your own thing. Sideboards are very much a personal preference situation. I mean, decks are in general, but sideboards in particular are very much personal preference, I feel. So, you know, if my sideboard is Capuzzo, throw it in the trash, I don't care. I won't be offended. Tell me what you think would be better anyway. Let's have a conversation. So Rip Apart, holy smokes, a Braid just got like a boop 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 boop. It is a sorcery instead of an instant, but 3 damage to a creature or a planeswalker, fantastic. And then destroy an artifact or an enchantment. You know, it's presented like a dual modal spell, but this is a spell with 4 modes. Let's be real here. It's got 2 versions of Lightning Bolt, and it's got Naturalize. This fantastic little card, just really, really good. Prismari Command, this is quite the modal spell. Absolutely. This is a shock. This is a careful study. This is I guess you could say it's a ramp spell too, right? You could shock ramp. On the end of your turn, you know, I'll shock your Dirtle, make a treasure token, untap, land, Teferi. You've got a turn 4 Teferi there. That's a great little piece of technology right there. And then there's the 2 Shark Typhoons in the side. You can put those in against control if you need a little bit more oomph. You can put them in against aggro if you need some more blockers. Can kind of act almost like a Think Twice, really, that makes a buddy. You'll notice there's no Think Twice in any of these decks. We got Brainstorm now. The best card from the anthology out the window. Don't at me. Here it is. You were all shocked it didn't appear, but there it is. There's the Grixis deck. It does exist. Don't worry. I made the Grixis deck, of course. This is a Strixhavenified version of my current laddering / Bow 3 event deck. And I'm very excited to play with this. You know, it's got Brainstorms, it's got Inquisition of Kozilek. You will notice that it has 3 Inquisition and 2 Thoughtseeds, whereas all my previous decks with black have had the opposite. It's been 3 Thoughtseeds with 2 Inquisition, and I did that because Grixis has a harder time recovering from life loss, and just in general struggles a little more against those aggressive decks, I feel. So I reduced the number of the discard spell that hurts you and upped the amount of the discard spell that does not. Pretty straightforward there. We've got Doomblade and Eliminate. I went down to 1 Eliminate, but I assure you it's an important one to have at least 1 copy of, and I've got 2 Doomblade in there as well. Originally it was 3 Bloodchiefs, there's 2 Eliminate, but I took out 1 of each to make room for Doomblade. That might be incorrect, but I'm just so excited to play with Doomblade that I don't even care, I'm doing it. Yep. So now I build my Grixis a little bit more tap out than counter control. So you will notice there aren't too many counter spells on your screen right now. So I've actually got 4 Narsets, 4 Chandras, 2 Ashiok, 2 Jace, and little new spicy addition here, Professor Onyx. So this is a very heavy Planeswalker build. So we're tapping out on turn 3 for that Narset. We're tapping out on turn 4 for that Chandra. We're not really too interested in the counterspell game, at least not during game 1. Game 2, maybe, depends on what we're playing against. But in game 1, we're a control deck that's trying to get in there. You know, we want to control the game in the first few turns with discard spells and removal spells, and then once we're safe, we're going to play a Planeswalker and start ticking up or down in the case of Narset to further cement our board presence and go for that win. It's not quite as sit back, wait as like the Esper and the Dimir kind of decks that we saw earlier. Now we do, of course, we do have that 1 Crawling Barrens in there. I try to put at least 1 in every control deck I build now. It's just a great little finisher, a good way to end the game. Nice and smooth. For board wipes, we've got 3 Anger, 3 Ritual, and in the sideboard we have Shadow's Verdict. So that is a whopping 7 board wipes. We really don't want creatures to mess with our funk. And, you know, I was mentioning earlier about life gain, life loss sort of deal. Professor Onyx, she's like she's a tentative addition. We will see how she plays. A 6-mana Planeswalker in Historic, and I definitely think in the new Historic, I think that's going to be just like a little bit demanding. It might be kind of tricky, so we will see how it goes. It's a tester. I'm excited about her. We'll see if it's gonna get where we want to go. Beyond that, we're gonna look at the sideboard real quick. We've got Grafdigger's Cage. We have Magma Spray to clear out those cats, Dreadhorde Butchers, things like that early on. The additional Thoughtseize that I mentioned earlier, Aether Gust to negate Mystical Dispute. That's all pretty straightforward. Noxious Grass, I explained that earlier as well. Now, we were having actually a lot of struggles against the control decks, so I kind of tweaked the sideboard a bit to make it a little stronger against control. That's why we have that extra Thoughtseize. I added an additional Mystical Dispute. Yeah, that's pretty much the plan. It was to just get a little bit more of an edge against control, because they were kind of... We would crush game 1, and then games 2 and 3 we would kind of falter. So I made what I feel were necessary adjustments to fix that matchup. And there it is, Grixis Control. So just one deck left. Just one. So, as I mentioned, I had 4 control decks for you and an other deck. This deck here is the other. This is Grixis Tendrils of Agony Storm. Oh my god. I'm excited. I'm so excited about this. Look at this mess. This deck is a mess, but I'm so excited. Brainstorms, Faithless Looting. Let's find what we need and do what we got to do with it. We've got Opt to find more stuff. We have Swan Song to protect our combo. That's right, Swan Song from Historic Anthology. What was it, 1, 2? Swan Song's been around forever and no one's playing it. We're gonna see if we can make it work. We've got a couple Grape Shots. Now these are more intended to be removal that can also win the game, maybe if you get into the right spot, but those kind of look at them like our spot removal. And then we have Anger the Gods to clear the board, Compulsive Research to fill up our hand. We don't mind discarding things like Faithless Looting or additional lands, that's fine. We've got Aetherflux Reservoir here. We are a Storm deck. We are trying to get down Bolus's Citadel and start casting things off the top with Aetherflux Reservoir as a win condition, as well as Tendrils of fucking Agony. Holy smokes. We do have a Professor Onyx in here to sort of have a built-in Tendrils. Every spell we cast and copy becomes a partial Tendrils of Agony. That's what that's about. The plus ability is also a filtering system. Sort of get that crap off the top of the library, get it into our hands, get going. We have Mind's Desire, because who doesn't want to cast a Mind's Desire? And we are bringing back that Master's Acquisition tech that existed with Fires of Invention. We don't need no fires. We're just going to pay 4 life to cast Acquisition. Then we can go into the sideboard and get whatever we need. Additional counter magic, Thoughtseize, Abrades, Grafdigger's Cage getting you down. Hit it with an Abrade, no big deal. There's an extra copy of all the win conditions too. We got an Aetherflux Reservoir, a Tendrils, a Bolus's Citadel, and a Mind's Desire in the sideboard, another Grape Shot as well. So, you know, when things get tricky, sticky, icky, we can Mastermind's Acquisition, go into the sideboard, find the missing piece, and put it all together. I tried to run simulations of this on Tapped Out with their, like, what's it called? Their playtest feature, and it was just so much clicking, and I haven't played Storm out like in the real world in so long. I just couldn't keep track of what was going on. I kind of lost it there for a minute, but that's okay. This looks like it's going to be a blast and a half, and I'm so excited for Strixhaven to just drop so I can be like, Storm, what it do? Let's go. Anyway, that's the deck. Very exciting. There you have it. 5 Strixhaven decks with Highlands. That's the way to put it, right? So those are my little creations that I put together. What have you put together? I would like to know. Give me a link or something. Send me in a direction. Did you have any similar thoughts, ideas? Do you have any suggestions for something that I maybe did wrong? Or maybe you just want to be like, wow, Griggs is cool. You're so talented. I wish I could be as smart and funny and cool as you are. Who knows? Who knows? There was another thing I wanted to say, but I don't remember. I do other things. I do Twitch, I do Twitter, I do Instagram, I do Twitter. I do, I admit it. And sometimes I make TikToks even. All those links will exist in the description. That's what I wanted to say. The description will have a link to all of these decks. You can go and click on them. You can export them. You can import them. You can deport them. You can import them. I said import. You can port the decks. Any kind of porting you can do can be done with these decks. And I hope you enjoy them. I hope you have fun. And I hope you spend your wild cards wisely when it comes to Strixhaven. And that is all. Thank you so much. You have a great day.